Ravens Wrap is sponsored by Bud Light, Holiday Inn Express, the Ocean City Golf Club, Comfort Inn, Russell Street Report, the original Green Turtle, and hosted by the Blue Ox Bar and Grill.
In April 1959, Art Wall won the Masters, edging out Carey Middlecoff and Arnold Palmer by finishing birdie, 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 par birdie. 1 month later, Ocean City Golf Club celebrated the opening of their first 18 holes. That course has been transformed now into one of the most scenic golf layouts on the East Coast. Come experience 36 of the most beautiful and challenging holes you'll find anywhere. Ocean City Golf Club in Ocean City, Maryland.
Welcome in. It's a special playoff edition of the original Green Turtles Ravens Wrap Show right here on Comcast Beach TV and Delmarva's Rock Radio, the strongest Ravens signaled affiliate on the Eastern Shore, 93.5 The Beach. We are broadcasting from the Blue Ox Bar and Grill, 127th Street and Coastal Highway in Ocean City with Ravens Roost 44 and fans all over the peninsula joining us. Hey, coming up, we will break down the amazing 38-35 double overtime win in the divisional round against the Denver Broncos. We'll talk news and notes. And yes, folks, we'll preview the upcoming game. It's round 2, not only this year, but going back to last year. It's AFC Championship week, and in our sights, 6:30 kickoff, it's the New England Patriots that we'll be seeing in our front view mirror here. So the Ravens Wrap Show brought to you by our friends at the original Green Turtle, the Blue Ox Bar and Grill, Bud Light, our friends at Comfort Inn Gold Coast, Geico, the Ocean City Golf Club, jctickets.net, and Holiday Inn Express. I'm Mike Bradley from 105.7 The Fan of Baltimore. To my left, back with us. It's good to have you back.
Good to be here.
14 years in the NFL, all-pro safety, Baltimore Colt, Bruce Laird. Round of applause. To his left, former Lehigh College player, OC local, John Garrick. John, in his Ravens attire, welcome back as well.
It's like old times.
You baby. You baby.
Former coach, Ravens extraordinaire fan, and member of the Roost 44, Steve Slaza. Welcome back. How are you? Guys, you know, I'll just throw out a couple of thoughts about this 38-35 win, and then I'll let you guys take it away. I'd say resiliency is, I think, an adjective that could be used in the game against Denver. Anytime that they would they'd strike us, we struck right back in the game the entire time of the way. I guess spoiler too, 9.5-point dogs. We've seen this team over the years, whether it be in the regular season or a playoff situation, go into cities like New England, Denver, Kansas City, Pittsburgh, Tennessee, and play the role of spoiler. I think that happened certainly once again. And then lastly, how could you not put this up there as one of the best wins in Ravens history? Bruce?
Yeah, absolutely, Mike.
That deserves a round of applause.
Yeah, it really does. And again, the adversity that they face with a short week, going to Denver on the bye, going out there to Mile High Stadium, and everybody, all the folks out there and you know, TV land when it comes to the NFL experts were saying we didn't have a chance and Peyton's going to carve us up. And really, seriously, I gave us only a 20% chance of a win there just because of all those things, the delays, the time factor, Peyton Manning, and we were able to just bang them in the mouth after they hit us in the mouth. And 2 special team touchdowns, John. 2 special team touchdowns by the Denver Broncos. To overcome that is just amazing.
If we'd have said before the game that the Broncos would have 2 special teams kick return touchdowns, we would think that, you know, the world had ended. I mean, no chance of winning the game. And really, that just goes to show how much the Ravens really dominated the game because it was like getting kicked in the stomach, getting the wind knocked out of you. All those factors you're talking about, and boom, right out of the gate, something like that happens. And how are you going to respond? That goes to resiliency. You know, that's what That's what life's about. It's just not sports, not just football, not just sports. It's what happens in your life. I mean, when you have pros and veterans and people that have been there before, that have been, punched in the face a few times and have experience and know how to come back, Bruce. I mean, and this is my thing. I mean, I know I've been tough on the Ravens, but I have evidence on my phone. People said, "What do you think game day?" I said, "Ravens were going to win."
Oh, no.
I didn't get that text, but all right, if you've
It's
got
on there.
evidence
I have
of
it.
it, all right.
Exhibit number 1. Anybody wants to come up? It's right. So
Well, we'll get to predictions at the end, but he may not make it out this parking lot.
But Bruce, I mean, you have a veteran team, a team that has a lot of playoff experience, and I didn't know this until ESPN this week. Ravens have the best winning percentage of any franchise in NFL history. So you have, in the playoffs. So
Right.
you have a lot of veterans. You've played this game a long time. I mean, do players like a Ray Lewis and an Ed Reed and Suggs, I mean, do these guys typically get blown out in the playoffs?
No, they never do, and I think that's one of the things about this organization from the very start when Bisciotti took it over from the great Art Modell. What they got in there with a belief, and does winning come first or does a belief? I think the belief has to come first, John, and they believed in themselves, and they were just going to take that mentality. And Mike Preston, I do a show up there in Baltimore with Mike, and Mike Preston said this is the best opportunity coaching that you'll have. No one gives you a shot. Circle the wagons, put everybody in there, and start telling players they can't do it. Because as a little kid, any athletic endeavor you do, almost anything in life, if you're just told you'll never succeed, and you really want it, you'll do whatever you have to be successful. And I think John did a great job in that motivation.
Now, I said if you get Ray Lewis back at 75%, for 4 games, you got a shot. Well, 30 tackles in 2 games, that's incredible. But we were talking before the show, I mean, that's only part of the deal. They've totally remade the offensive line, and they've remade the front 7 on defense. I mean, this team is geared up and ready to go.
Well, guys, we've seen during the playoffs the last couple of years, if there is a team that can go on the road in any hostile environment with the odds against them, the writers beating down on them, it's the Baltimore Ravens. I'll tell you right now, no team, even the Patriots, they're never going to come out publicly and say it. But privately, anytime a team has to play the Ravens, and we've seen it doesn't matter if they're the home team, as we've seen, because we have a lot of wins on the road in the playoffs, okay? The Baltimore Ravens, whatever it is about them, and you guys have talked about the characteristics, the veteran leadership, the great locker room, the good coaching, whatever it is about this team, let me tell you, those teams, that's the last team they want to face is the Baltimore Ravens.
And there's no question, and because they won't give up, they won't stop fighting, and that's what we always say: 60-minute ball games. You hear all these cliches, but they're very, very true. And I can imagine coming out in the second half and seeing the kickoff return going, 105, and just going, oh lordy. But they didn't blink. They stayed right on course, and Joe was able to get them back on track. And that's another thing. And obviously, the Denver Broncos didn't really have that feeling. You could see towards the end of that 4th period where they were just thinking, hey, man, where are we going for dinner? And you got to get rid of that mentality nowadays, because this is a week-by-week league. And it almost doesn't matter who you are anymore. I didn't think I'd ever say that about Denver, John, in a big game at home in front of their fans, but they weren't mentally ready to finish this football game.
I tell you, this is why the Ravens, when the Ravens were 9-2, and a lot of people were hard on them, I definitely was. I used an analogy. It was about, spray and, last show, if you guys remember.
You have a lot of analogies across the season.
Instead of flushing the toilet, you just spray it.
I was wondering where that one was going.
But, the things weren't pretty then. I mean, they were winning, so the shell looked nice. The exterior of the car looked nice, but the engine was kind of acting funky. It wasn't really running. So the Ravens got through all that, and now you can tell that it's just the internals of the situation feel so much better now, which is why, you kind of you just go with the flow, and the Ravens have kind of turned that corner. And you're right, it's how you respond. It's like the first Broncos game at home. You had the pick 6. It's not really what happens when something bad. It's not what bad happens to you. It's what happens next. That's the thing. What happens next? And the Ravens responded this week. The 2 kick returns, they come right back and they respond. They get their own stuff. And that becomes demoralizing. It's like putting it back on the Broncos. What are you going to do now? And what happened in the first game against the Broncos, of course, they come out and score a touchdown right away in the 3rd quarter, and what could have been 14-10 or whatever winds up being, a blowout. So complete difference just in a few weeks, Steve. And I tell you, it's exciting. You know what I mean? It's you feel got a little got some energy.
Believe me, I was running to the kitchen because every time I was in the kitchen, there was a good play. So I was making the run the whole game. I was going to ask you, so I watched a lot of the game from the kitchen. But Bruce, I was going to ask you.
I can tell.
Exactly. But how, as a kick return, I mean, you know what that does to a team. How do you respond from something like that?
You really have to. I mean, the situation like that, obviously, Jerry Rosberg has all been out of shape because he's got his guys leaving lane integrity. And once they go over like this, it's almost like a big wave of the Red Sea because you're all supposed to be in these certain lanes, okay, except for the gunners or the L3 and R3 where they can go for the ball. But everyone's got lanes. So when you get over here and this guy may shade this, it just opens up. And for Holiday, he just had that thing. It was like a NASCAR race. He turned the bend and said, holy smoke, open territory, put the hammer down, and he was gone. So you just got to regroup yourself and get ready mentally to make sure you do it. And for that point, John, that's where Flacco came in. Yeah. Flacco had to take this team for the first time, I think in a long, long time, maybe the last New England game, where he had to show them, listen, fellas, I can win this game. You'll win with me. And that comes back to the thing we talked earlier. That's the belief. Believe in yourself, believe in the system.
I mean, you have a guy now, you know, and look, I'll come clean. You guys know I've been hard on him, but and I'm going to be hard on him this week too, because really this game should not have been close. And when you are playing the best teams in the league, you cannot overthrow wide open receivers. That's quarterback 101. You underthrow it, if anything. Get the pass interference. But I mean, Torrey Smith could have had 4 touchdowns in the first half. I mean, this game really could have been a blowout. You have a couple, you know, now special teams part of the game, but they are still fluky touchdowns. And Joe missed a couple guys. I mean, the Ravens really played well, but you're right, Bruce. Overall, I mean, Joe, when you're playing great teams, number 2 defense in the league, sometimes your quarterback needs to outscore the other team, and that's what our guy did this week.
Yeah, I mean, guys, you don't want to aid Peyton Manning any more than you have to. And I took a look at those special teams plays, and I'm thinking, you know, here's an area that this team's been very strong in all year. And for Denver, too, though. I mean, here's Trendon Holiday, though, a guy that they're well aware of all 5'5" stature, making plays. But I'm thinking, you've not just given him 1 touchdown, but 2 touchdowns now and aiding him. Boy, you're making the task that much tougher. And just think if we had just stopped one of them or both, you know, how much different the game would have been if, you know, if Joe hits on one of those, it's a touchdown. In a lot of ways, this could have been a much more easier victory on a lot of us, although it goes down as one of the great games, Steve. You know, it's a game of plays, though, and all 3 phases were certainly evident in the one the other day.
It wasn't just they gave him up, it was when they gave him up. You know, the first punt of the game and the second half kickoff.
Oh,
and,
it's great.
You know, that's just demoralizing because you're all, here we go, oh. You know, but then you came back and you're okay, we can do this. And then when you're back, then boom, you do it again. Yeah. You know?
But that's equally demoralizing, Bruce. I mean, here the Broncos think they have something going on, and then we come back and punch right back. I mean,
you know, Peyton's sitting around. He had to get on the field for the first 5 or 6 minutes. He's still trying to get on the field. Next thing you know, he's up 7, and then he's tied, and then he finally gets in there.
We'll pick it up. More to come here. Special AFC Championship edition of the Ravens Wrap Show. Comcast Beach TV and 93.5 The Beach. We're back.
Ravens Wrap is sponsored by Bud Light, Holiday Inn Express, the Ocean City Golf Club, Comfort Inn, Russell Street Report, the original Green Turtle, and hosted by the Blue Ox Bar and Grill.
Welcome to the Comfort Inn Gold Coast. Conveniently located just 1 block from the beach and adjacent to shopping at the Gold Coast Mall and the movie theater. Newly renovated and open year-round with a marvelous bayfront view. Visit us on the web at comfortgoldcoast.com and see our hot deals and great golf packages, or simply call our direct reservation line to plan your stay.